Well, hello, I'm Dr. Sherman Silber, and we're going to be doing another Facebook Live session tonight. And we've got a real treat for you. I think you can see the treat. This is absolutely fantastic. And it leads to a lot of conclusions that fertility patients should know about. So we won't go into detail too much, but Liz went to a center where because she was over 35, she was 40, or I mean she was in a category where the eggs aren't as fertile, and they did the so-called genetic testing, the PGTA, and they transferred an embryo diagnosed as euploid, which is normal. And I've said many times how flawed this testing.
Lucy muted me.
Yeah. uh, and it wasn't successful, but we did a very simple mini IVF procedure here in St. Louis. And, we have a baby right away, first embryo transfer. And I was just telling Liz we can give her more babies because we have more embryos. Those are with 41-year-old eggs, and that's something we're very excited about. Now, this is Liz and Lucy. So, Liz, tell us a little bit from your own point of view about what you did, and let us see Lucy a little better. I think.
Okay, sorry. I think that I got muted, or I'm not on my A game right now. I wasn't able to.
We're hearing you. We're hearing you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, did you hear what I said though?
I did not.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, Dr. Silber.
No, you never have to say you're sorry.
Do you want me to start with how I came to find you and my experience before?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so guys, I want you to know that this all started when I turned 40, and I had made some mistakes in my dating life over the years, and I was 40 and I hadn't had a baby yet, so I decided to have a baby on my own. So I was like, okay, I'll do this. So I got a great sperm donor, and I originally had gone to a doctor here in Kansas City where I live, Overland Park, Kansas, actually. And he had told me, because you're 40, we are going to test your embryo. He said, so since you're 40, we're going to make your embryos, then we're going to send them for genetic testing, and we'll go from there. So I made 8 embryos, which is a lot for a 40-year-old, I think. And he said, well, I think probably half will be genetically normal. So I said, okay, because I thought maybe, I could have twins or maybe more than one. So I'm like, that sounds great. So when the embryos came back from the testing, it come to find out only one of the 8 was genetically normal, according to this doctor. So at first I was like, oh no, that's awful, because I wanted more than one. So I'm like, maybe I should do another round. So he told me, Liz, I would only do another round if you 100% want more than one child. He's like, and look at how lucky you are that we have this technology, because otherwise you would have had 7 out of 8 embryos miscarry. And that would have been devastating. And I'm like, oh man, you make a good point. Okay, well, let's just roll with this one. And it's, it was expensive for me. So I'm like, I'll just roll with this one. Well, I got pregnant. And imagine my surprise. This is the sad part. At 8 weeks, when I went for my first sonogram, and there was no heartbeat.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, what's going on? Well, I mean, what about all this? What was all this testing for? I mean, the guy told me, like, I don't even need to do anymore. Like, this is it. And I obviously was very upset. And it wasn't the fact that I had a miscarriage. It was just how he set it up. I'm just like, why would you make me think that? I mean, even to the point where you told me not to do it, not to make any more embryos at 40. I mean, I don't know. It was just insane. So obviously that put a bad taste in my mouth. And I just got online, and actually I have a lot of family that lives in St. Louis. My best friend lives in St. Louis. So I'm just like, let's check out the St. Louis area and see if there's a better doctor there. And actually one of my friends stumbled upon Dr. Silber, and she's like, hey, why don't you check out this guy? He's in Chesterfield, which is right next to my best friend and his partner's house. And, maybe he could help you. So I set up an appointment with Dr. Silber, and he shot me straight immediately and said, hey, that genetic testing would be amazing if it worked, but actually, it just doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
It just doesn't work, because if it worked, I wouldn't have had a miscarriage. So what was the point of it anyway? And I cannot tell you what a fan of Dr. Silber I am. I mean, it almost makes me like get teary-eyed to think about it, because I mean, like people, like if I talk to people and, they ask me about my fertility stuff, or maybe they're having issues, I'm just like, if you don't call Dr. Silber, you're insane. Because I mean, it's just frightening for women. I didn't have this because I wasn't bashed down with not being able to get pregnant. So I think my doctor here in Overland Park, Kansas, I think he's mostly used to women that are just like, this is it. They've tried to get pregnant. They can't get pregnant. So they are just used to it being their fault, and or thinking it's their fault. And he didn't know who he was messing with me, because I never tried to get pregnant. So when I'm like, I'm not going to let him like gaslight me, for lack of a better word, into thinking that I did something wrong.
That's amazing. I would have to intercede for a second to talk to you. The other thing is, this so-called PGTA genetic testing. I mean, so many randomized controlled studies have shown that it is so flawed. And there is the same success rate with an untested embryo that there is with one like yours that was tested and told to be normal. So those other 7 of yours that were thrown away.
We didn't throw them away.
We didn't throw them away. Wait, we should keep.
I said over my dead body.
I am sure that some of those 7 ones that were going to be thrown away would be healthy babies.
Yep. Sure, but my other concern, but I did end up doing 2 more rounds with Dr. Silber. The biggest reason that I had lost trust in the first doctor, and he had given me, and everybody's protocols I know are different, but Dr. Silber prescribed me about a 16th of the medicine that the first doctor prescribed me. And I could tell, because like the medicine the first guy prescribed me cost like $5,600. And I think Dr. Silber's was like $1,000 to $1,200. So I know Dr. Silber and I were a little concerned about all the medicine that had been taken to make those embryos, just because everybody's is different. So maybe some women, obviously everybody's got a different situation, but I didn't need all that medicine either.
Well, not only that, I want to tell you that we've done studies with so many women since 2003, giving them different dosages. And the baby rate per egg with our very minimal dosage is 4 to 5 times higher at any given age than with the big dosage stimulation. But the silly thinking, they're not scientific. So many of the doctors in this field are just pulling medicines off the shelf, and they don't know the science. And the science is important, because we know that if you give too high a dose of the gonadotropin, you will cause abnormalities in the eggs, and you'll have a much lower. It's not a minor difference; it's a gigantic difference in success rate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now at any age we give the lower dose at any age.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted you. Let's hear more.
No, not at all. Not at all. I think to myself, like, we are just in the medical field. I just am realizing it more than ever. We put so much trust into doctors that are capable of making a lot of money off of things. And one thing I know about Dr. Silber, and I don't think Dr. Silber's in it for the money anymore.
No,
I would imagine that Dr. Silber could have retired by now if he wanted to.
Easily could have retired, but I believe in what we're doing.
And I want that guy on my side. And he was on my side. And Dr. Silber counseled me to do 2 rounds. I did 2 rounds. I got, lucky. I had Lucy, the first pop. I got pregnant and had Luce. But I still have I think 5 left over from what I made with Dr. Silber frozen. And then I have the 7 left over from Overland Park. So if I do want another baby, I'll definitely use Dr. Silber's first.
Yeah.
And if I decide not to, I'll donate my embryos to women that can't have children.
Despite the age being 41 years old, we have 5 beautiful embryos, and it's against the tradition that has developed over the last 10 years of maximal dosage, genetic testing. None of that is scientific. All of the controlled studies, which is all that we can go by in science, randomized controlled studies, show that genetic testing doesn't work because, let me explain so people don't think I'm nihilistic. We were the first in the United States actually to do genetic testing in 1994, and we reported in the Journal of American Medical Association. However, that was for carriers of cystic fibrosis. So if the husband and wife both carry the same recessive mutation of a disease, it's very, very accurate. But if you're just supposedly doing routine testing to count chromosomes, it's inaccurate because the early embryo has a variety of euploid and aneuploid cells. So you don't know what you're really getting. There's 120 cells and you pick up 5 of them in the biopsy and who knows what you're really getting.
Yeah. You're going to break that.
So that's why that type of genetic testing doesn't work. The genetic testing for a specific mutation does work.
And if I had that going on, I would definitely do that. But for the women that it's all, I just had such a bad experience with it that I am just,
I think one reason it's so popular is it's an extra revenue base.
It's an extra revenue base. And you're very, very vocal about that, Dr. Silber. And I just hate to say it, but maybe this is inappropriate for me to say, but I feel like there's a lot of doctors that are protecting themselves or protecting each other.
Yeah.
And I see that, that they don't want to be the one to blow the whistle. And it's one thing that you said to me that will always stick with me, Dr. Silber, is not only is it not helping these women, it's hurting them because they're getting rid of embryos that could make babies.
Well, that's really the fact. The randomized controlled trial that most recently came out demonstrated it looked like there was no difference in success rate whether the embryo was tested as normal or not ever tested. But that isn't really an accurate interpretation because you're throwing away these embryos that were incorrectly tested as abnormal. So you're reducing the success rate in half.
Yeah. And paying more money. And I just tell people, just don't call anybody else. Call Dr. Silber. You got to travel there. Whatever you got to do, you'll be in good hands.
Oh, it's very kind of you to say that.
No, it's the God honest truth. You were just a miracle to find you.
Well, what's interesting is I hear you tell this. I didn't realize how you only came to us, to our center, because you had your best friend and family here in Chesterfield.
Yeah.
And let's try this doctor in Chesterfield.
Yes.
You had no idea.
Well, what really happened is my financial advisor lives in St. Louis, and he had gone through IVF. So when I decided there's nobody good in Kansas City, I was like, who did you use? And he said, well, we went to Wash U in St. Louis. So I started looking up online, and it was actually one of my girlfriends. We were looking up together, and she's like, what about this guy? He's in Chesterfield. And it would be so much. And she's like, look at all these reviews. He'd be so much easier to get to than going to Wash U. And I started reading the reviews. I'm like, I like this guy. And then once I had my Zoom call, which was so scheduled so quickly, which is very important when you're at a point where you want to get answers. That Zoom call was scheduled so quickly. And then once I met you and I saw you and you told me about the genetic testing, I'm like, this is my guy. Oh, wait. And then I started talking to my family that lives in St. Louis, and they're like, we could have told you to go to him. My aunt, who's like, my aunt's, one of her girlfriend's daughters was one of your babies, and she's like 25 now. So she's like, Liz, why didn't you ask me? And I was like, well, I didn't know because I didn't go. My OBGYN said, call this guy. I called him and I had never not been able to get pregnant. So I didn't do as much research. But now everybody that I talk to, I tell them, Dr. Silber, Dr. Silber, Dr. Silber.
Wow. Well, you're overwhelming me, and you're a great patient because you did everything exactly right. Even though mini IVF is easier on the patient, obviously much easier than what you went through in KC, even so, it's a lot to go through, and you were meticulous about everything.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And
Well, we're just so happy.
And that's so great. You named her Lucy. It's
Lucy Marie, and she just turned 8 months. Can you give him a smile, Lucy? Miss Chicky and Mr. Bear.
Smiling, but she's a little bashful. Oh, there she is. With a smile. I like your bow. Your bow is very, very sharp looking.
I make her wear those sometimes, don't I, Lucy? Don't I?
Oh, she is absolutely precious. So the interesting thing is, you're right. Of the 5 embryos we made, I'm much more confident with them because we use the mini IVF protocol.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
And this gives me an opportunity to tell you, we've got it's really a brand new lab starting in January. And so we have new embryologists that have been all over the world. They're very well-known, famous embryologists. And I never thought of this, but they told me that looking at the eggs we're getting, they've never seen such good quality eggs. Really, this is interesting to me. The membrane flexibility and elasticity and the cytoplasm, that is what's inside the egg, looking so even and homogeneous. And so I just knew the success rate was 4 to 5 times higher with this minimalist stimulation. But they told me they can just see it in the egg quality. They can just.
I'll be darned.
Yeah.
That's great.
So it's fantastic, really.
Yeah.
Wow. So now the next question is, when do you want to have another one? And the reason I bring that up is you want to have some special time with Lucy before
I know
invaded by a competitor.
I know. I don't know. This might be a one-child household.
Could be it.
Yeah. Well, so we got a pretty good thing going.
You sure do.
But we'll see. TBD.
Yeah, I'm not pushing you for sure.
I know. She's just so wonderful. I couldn't be more happy. We couldn't be more happy. We're all so happy. And my mom retired from her job, and she's my nanny. She nannies for me full time. She stays with me Monday through Friday. So we have everything in the world.
I think it's great that you don't have to drop her off at daycare.
Me too.
Yeah, I think
me too.
Because everything that happens in these first few years of life are formative.
I know. No, my mom does an amazing job.
That's fantastic. Well, okay. Now, maybe there's some questions someone has either for Liz or for me, because, I love to just answer anybody's questions. And you maybe all be just stunned out there just looking at this. Maybe, here we have some questions.
Okay.
So, yeah, Dr. Silber, here's one from Marcy.
Oh, love this. Thank you, Liz. Refer to me to you.
Yeah. Yay, Marcy. Marcy's another patient.
Okay.
And this one's from Megan from last month.
Wow. Dr. Silber is so knowledgeable and just the best. You're embarrassing me. Forever grateful for him and the team. So glad you have your miracle. Megan, it's so fantastic that's why, I could have retired a long time ago, but seeing happy people like this and making families, this is what makes me so excited.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, so
Marcy's my next door neighbor, and she is working with Dr. Silber also.
Okay, well that's great.
She just loves you, and shout out to Kelsey, the nurse Kelsey is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, my brother, can the nanny make an appearance on screen? Hey, Mom. That is so funny.
Is she around? Let's see, Mom.
Oh, she will not be making an appearance. She was probably cursing him right now for suggesting that.
Okay, this is the time of day she's off work and it's your job
She's
now.
blocked out.
Yeah.
So
So
here's one.
Marcy's saying more. Well, I hear what you're saying, Marcy. Let me tell you about tips for this. I think I've explained this already, but I'm going to explain it again. First place, I'm amazed, Marcy, that you're willing to go open on this. On the, donor eggs and donor sperm. Uh, the reason that I work so hard on getting people pregnant with their own eggs or their own sperm, and we invented most of these techniques, is because everybody wants their own DNA, and that's what Liz has, and so that's exciting because there's no question, there's no thinking, there's no psychological issue. So that's what everybody wants, their own DNA. However, if you've run out of eggs and you can't have your own, let me tell you that the most important thing, there are 5 things that are most important in the baby: personality, character, intelligence, emotional stability, bonding with you as mother. Those 5 things are intangible, and they're not in the DNA. We did our first case like that in 1986, so we have more experience, longer experience than anybody in the world. And I can tell you that those characteristics are not in the DNA. They arise from how you interact with a baby in the first 2 or 3 years of life. So, I'm not the one that wrote that. You expressed that, but those are very private things. But as long as you brought it up, I will tell you and I'll tell everyone the most important aspects of your baby, that's going to be your most important relationship for the rest of your life as the baby grows up and graduates and just has other babies, and you become a grandparent. I'm now a great grandparent. The most important thing is the first 2 or 3 years of how you interact with that baby. The baby, you see how cute she is. The emotional interaction, that lively interaction, you can see how lively Liz is. Lucy's gonna, by the time she's 3, it's gonna be determined. She is gonna be a firecracker. She's gonna be spectacular. So I didn't know that was gonna come up, but as long as it did, I thought I should mention it. So what is success rate for age 41? Well, Ida, if we can get as many as 6 to 3 embryos, which we usually can, then it might take 2 cycles or even 3 cycles in some people, depending on how many eggs you get. If we do that, then we'll have a baby rate, not just a pregnancy and miscarriage, but a baby rate, even with a 41-year-old, of 60%. So if you do it the right way, mini IVF, be willing to do several cycles, baby rate's pretty fantastic. So you shouldn't be told at age 41 to use donor eggs. And as we know, this genetic testing is not the answer. So other questions. Our miracle baby had a full circle moment when she started seeing Dr. DeRosa. That's my colleague of 30 years, Dr. DeRosa. And she's 25 now. Oh, and a NICU nurse. Well, that is the most difficult. It is fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Debbie. I'm really glad to get that follow-up. And then we hear from Savannah Marie. My embryo transfer is coming up April 22nd. I'm so excited and blessed to find out. Oh my God. You guys are embarrassing. But she has a question. Everyone asks how my eggs are. Like they're great. I never got any of that info. Does that matter? Well, if we froze the embryos, because we freeze all the embryos, we're not going to freeze embryos that aren't any good. We're going to culture them on. And if they don't continue to grow like to blastocysts or as far as day 7, then we consider them to be non-starters. So anything you have frozen, we know came from good quality eggs. And with the protocol that we use, we absolutely get the best quality eggs. So.
Okay, Dr. Silber, we're running up to the 30 minutes there. And so that was your last question for this evening.
Okay. Well, so I'll just sort of close by saying that I love talking to patients and answering questions, and we do it at no charge. And you can call us to make a Zoom appointment anytime. That's exactly what Liz did. call us at that number, and it's no charge. And or you can just go to our website, infertile.com, and we'll answer you with that also. And we set up a Zoom consult. Now, obviously, IVF isn't cheap, but we try to make it as cost effective as possible. But
way more cost effective, Dr. Silber is. Way more.
really, I'm glad to hear you say that.
Leaps and bounds.
So it's expensive, but we try to be half as expensive as most IVF centers if we can, by being really efficient and not doing stupid things. Well, that's great. So this is such a reunion, Liz. I'm so excited about
I
it.
am too.
If you're willing, we have to have you on again and we can talk.
Oh, anytime.
I'm sure everybody appreciates what you had to say.
Oh, I hope so.
And little Lucy, oh my gosh, what a dream.
He's a good girl. Hi, Dr. Silber.
Okay. Oh, Lucy and Liz, what a great combination. L and L. That's cool. All right. Well, I guess our time is up, and we'll try to stay in touch as much as we can.
Absolutely. And tell Kelsey I said hi. Thank you for everything, Dr. Silber.
Okay. You're absolutely welcome.
Bye.
My thank you is just hearing
Thank
you.
you.
That's it.